Hi, folks. It's Dean Chandan, and I am delighted to be joined by Amir Korangy, the publisher of The Real Deal. Amir, how are you and where are you?
Hi, Sam. I'm actually in New York City at this epicenter of it all. That's what people say, but I've been here the whole time, so I don't really know the difference outside of the city. But yes, I've been here the whole time in New York City in my apartment.
How are things going at The Real Deal?
Obviously everybody's business and lives changed, right? Like we had this business for 17 years. All of a sudden, overnight, we're like, okay, everybody goes and works from home. How do we do this? How do we deal with this? How does the product still come out? How do we continue to put out what we do? And luckily, the change wasn't that dramatic. One thing that we do notice is that people are a lot more productive, which I think is going to change the way of basically employment and work in the future. Today there was an announcement that Facebook has told their employees that they can work permanently from home. So add that to Twitter and Shopify. Also, they said their employees can permanently work from home. And you just see companies being uh, very comfortable with having their employees work from home. And I think that's going to have a major result on the commercial real estate, which in turn will have a domino effect on residential real estate, which in turn will have an effect on retail and development. And I think at the end of it, it'll have a change. There will be a shift in the dynamics of cities because one of the main reasons people come to the cities is because all the jobs are here. And one of the reasons corporations come here is because the talent is here, right? So, and I feel like if people are feeling like, well, I don't have to have my company in a very expensive place like New York, and my employees can work anywhere in the world. Obviously, New York has the energy that Charleston doesn't have, or some of these other cities. But that's the thinking, and I think even if it shifts the dynamics by 10, 15%.
So it's obviously a very fluid situation. Conditions are changing every day. We're seeing some pretty dramatic changes in the dynamics of the market. The
Yeah.
demand for information must be through the roof. How is your team keeping up with it?
We're very encouraged by it because our traffic literally doubled. We were getting about 120, 130,000 visitors a day that would come to the site. Now we're well over that every day. And the reporters love it because all of a sudden, when you only had like 15, 20,000 people read your stories, now there's like 40,000 people reading their stories. So they love it. They're encouraged by that. They want to produce more. We're producing more content than ever before. I don't know how long that's sustainable because like I zoom into my workers homes at 8 at night, and I don't know how long that's okay to do. I'm sure there's going to be a whole new protocol of like when it's okay to zoom and when it's not okay to zoom, but until that happens, our productivity is through the roof.
A lucky position to be in, just given sort of the deterioration that we're seeing in the labor market overall in the United States.
Totally.
With your team being, as you point out, incredibly productive, huge increase in traffic to your site. I know this week you just published your first national edition. First, congratulations. But also, is that something you had planned pre-COVID, or is that something that was motivated by the pandemic?
That was actually a business decision because we had to adapt, right? So immediately, so many changes happened. Like all of a sudden, the positions I had within the company that all of a sudden became irrelevant, right? And I had to hire new people for new positions that are necessary that we've never hired before. And that was very strange for me because you don't know who to hire. There's not a blueprint for this kind of work or how the business changed. Where everybody's going through it the same way. The same problem. I was on Fox News the other day. The same challenges we have with our webinars, Fox News was having with billions of dollars behind them. So it was nice to see that we were sort of all going through it the same way, and we all have the same sort of tools. We have a laptop, we have the internet, and maybe a light or a microphone at the best of it. But the national issue was a business decision because what happened was that we have the quarterlies in Miami and in LA and Chicago and the monthly in New York, and we just did not have the bandwidth to put out the amount of news that we did and also do the quarterlies. So we're like, and the news has affected real estate in such a like a over sort of overall way that we're like, normally real estate is a very local phenomenon, but now the way the pandemic affected real estate, we felt like a lot of the news sort of related to everybody in the country. So we were like, instead of doing the quarterlies and the monthly in New York, let's just do one national for the entire country until we sort of work our way out of this. Because right now, all the news that we do is it affects everybody. There's the policy stuff that's related to New York, but so much of this city, so much of what happens in the city impacts the rest of the country, and that it's all very relatable right now.
Fantastic. Well, we've just had a whole cohort of undergraduate and graduate students that finished our bachelor's and master's programs this week and are going out into the world, whether for them or for our continuing students. And I should remind the students that Amir is also Professor Korangy, and we're thrilled that he is part of the Shack family.
Sam, you
Advice
made
for
me a professor.
students.
You're the one who knighted me.
Yeah,
You're the one
that's
who knighted
right.
me. So thank
The
you.
advice for the students going out into sort of a very different world than where we were 6 months ago.
It's amazing. For the last 20 years, the world as we know it had, like, especially the US, had such a booming sort of a growth. I mean, we had our problems, but overall, everything was going up. Real estate values, stock values, everything was going up. Unemployment was coming down, and everything was on sort of a boost. And this is like sort of the first real challenge for a lot of the people, especially millennials, who have to like sort of face that, like, hold on, not everything is as rosy as we remembered. I'm not going to ask for those 6-hour days. But I think the real opportunity here is for young people, because so many, like I explained earlier, there are people who built their entire careers and they've worked in fields that are now completely irrelevant. And as a young person, you start with a fresh canvas. And it doesn't matter what you went to school for, the opportunities are abundant because the world as we know it, I know you said it's fluid, but still has changed.
Mayor, thank you so much for joining me. Stay safe, stay well, and congratulations, of course, on the national edition of The Real Deal. We're all tuned in to hear the latest on what's going on in the real estate market.
Thank you so much, Sam.